Welcome in, y'all. We're talking some Week 8 NFL locks. Here's my record. So 9-3 in the videos I've done for these. Before I was making videos, I was kind of just writing down some, trying to figure out, if the locks was something I wanted to do. I went 7-5 of those combined with the 9-3 makes it 16-8. So take whichever record you will. Didn't do great in the ones before the videos, but I've kind of been on a heater here the last few weeks. So we're hoping to keep that rolling. And we're going to start with the first game I want to look at. That's Buffalo and Carolina. The two teams with winning records, which is surprising. When's the last time Carolina had a winning record at this point in the season? Bryce Young is out. Andy Dalton's a very fine backup, though. The big thing here for me is, on paper, analytically, I think the Bills are just a far superior team. They haven't played super well this year, to be completely honest, even in their wins. But coming off 2 straight losses, then coming off a bye week to rest and prepare, they're upset, frustrated with those 2 losses. I think this is the ultimate get-right game. Carolina's riding high. They have a couple wins in a row. But I think they're due for a loss here at home. I think the Bills come in. I think they cover 7.5. If Carolina was able to keep this in close, that'd be super interesting because it'd tell us 2 things. It depends on, what the eye test tells us about the game, but that would either mean Carolina is actually, you have to consider them maybe kind of legit, which I don't think they are, or you just have to start thinking, hey, Buffalo is, they got problems, serious problems. So Buffalo should be able to handle business pretty easily here. So that's my first lock of the week. Then we're going to move on to San Francisco and Houston. This is an interesting one. Definitely not quite as confident in this one, but I do feel fairly decent about it. Houston's favored in this one, and despite them being favored, it's one of those everyone's asking, how could you pick Houston to win this game? I picked them in my picks video, which you can go check out. Doing pretty good on those. But to me, I think them being favored tells you something. A 5-2 team underdog on the road against a 2-4 team. I think you need to listen to what Vegas is telling you here. The Niners are not quite as good as their record shows, and most of that is due to injuries. They've lost a lot of big key pieces. I know some are going to come back, but multiple defensive pieces are gone for the year. They're not coming back. They're not going to be as healthy as they were to even start the year. Houston, man, the offense has been questionable. It's been rough, but man, that defense has been elite. And again, this isn't like we're talking about the college football playoff. Quality losses don't get you anything in the NFL. But, let's just talk. The Houston Texans lost a 1-score game on the road against the Rams, who are 5-2. A 1-score game at home last minute against the Bucks, who are 5-2. A 1-score game against the Jaguars, who are 4-3. And what ended up being a 1-score game against the 5-2 Seahawks on the road. So, quality losses, close games. I don't think Houston is that great, but I think they're better than you might think they are at first glance. You see them 2-4, and that's a pretty bad record. So, and on top of that, they're desperate here. They need this one. The Niners are 5-2, maybe a bit better than they might have even hoped given all these injuries. Niners have an easy schedule. It wouldn't kill them to lose this one. Houston, they just can't lose many more games. Sitting at 2-4, you got to start winning games if you want a chance at the playoffs. They need this one. They're more desperate. So I'm taking Houston as a lock in this one. Like I said, not quite as confident compared to that Bills one, but I do feel fairly good about it. I think the writing's on the wall here for Houston to get a win. But then I'm going to move on to the next game. It's the Browns and the Patriots. The Browns were super impressive last week. They dominated the Dolphins, a blowout win against Tua. The defense really suffocated them. And the Patriots, they've been on a roll. They beat the Bills a few weeks ago. They've had some good wins stacking up here, and they're taking care of business against bad teams, actually, the last couple weeks. And that's what they have an opportunity to do here in this one. And the Browns' defense definitely has the ability to keep this thing close. However, I'm going to lock with New England minus 7.5 in this one. I think it's one of those, I don't know that it's necessarily a blowout. But I think it's one of those New England just slowly extends their lead. Maybe they're up at 3 at half. Maybe they're up by 6 at the end of the third. And then just a field goal with 8 minutes left pushes them over the edge. They win by 9 or something and they cover. I think something like that sounds right. The Browns offense still can't get going. I think the Patriots can be able to shut down the run. Browns defense, is going to look to shut down the Patriots. And while I don't think the Patriots are good enough to necessarily light them up, I think they can do enough to cover this one at home. So New England minus 7.5 in that one is my lock there. And again, just reiterating, if you want to see all my picks, I do have a picks video up, doing pretty good at those, 66 and 42 against the spread. But we're going to move on to Tennessee versus Indianapolis. And this is one that Indy is favored by 14.5 points. That's massive. That's a massive line. Who would have thought at the beginning of the year the Colts would ever be favored by that much? I love this Colts team. Titans have just been bad. They played earlier this season. The Colts dominated them, won by, off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember. I want to say it was like 20 points or something. But it was definitely a blowout Colts victory. And being at home here, I don't see any reason they can't do it again. I think the Colts absolutely can cover 14.5. The only reason they wouldn't is, you're coming off of a big road victory on the road against the Chargers. That's a big win. And you're playing a team you've already dominated, and you're getting them at home. Maybe you have a little sleepwalking into the game, you're not too worried about it. We already beat this team. We're going to be fine. But again, this is a Colts team that wasn't expected to be good. They can't afford to have that kind of mindset. So I think they come in locked in. I think they take care of business. They win by at least 14.5 there. I think it's another domination against the Titans. And the rough season for the Titans just continues, honestly. But next up, we're going to talk about the Aaron Rodgers Bowl. This is one I've been looking forward to, let me tell you. I mean, this just feels like Sunday Night Football. I mean, Packers, Steelers, two iconic brands. Got Aaron Rodgers on there against his old team. Maybe a chilly late October game. This one just is awesome. But enough about that. Let's talk about the spread here. When I'm making this, Green Bay is 3.5 point favorites on the road in Pittsburgh. I'm just going to cut right to the chase. I like Pittsburgh to cover 3.5. Several reasons for that. First off, I could say the same about Pittsburgh, but I think Green Bay isn't quite as good as people are giving them credit for. They've been sloppy and just not super great offensively, I guess, since those first couple weeks. First couple weeks, they looked like the best team in football, bar none. But since then, And my second point is I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be lasered in, right? I don't know if this one is as much revenge, but I mean, you remember when he played the Jets earlier this year, he wanted that one just like he wants this one. And man, he played great. He was lasered in. He was locked in. He was dicing up the Jets. The rest of the Steelers team let him down a little bit, especially the defense. So, you got to keep that in mind. But I think Rodgers is going to be on. I think he's going to be locked in, ready for this one. And, in my picks video, I have Pittsburgh winning outright. But my lock here is going to be them to just cover that 3.5 points. I'm thinking even if they lose, we're talking a field goal game. I think this should be a great, great Sunday Night Football game. Looking forward to it big time. But yeah, those are my locks of the week that I'm rolling with here. I will preface by saying this is a weird week. This is a weird week. I don't love the lines, the matchup. There's a lot of 7-point lines, which I don't love because those are big, You can have a last-minute touchdown cover that, and even though the game wasn't close, the road team or the underdog team covered 7 or so. I full transparency, I only have one losing week this year against the spread, and that was week 3, and that was the last time I said that I didn't feel great about a week. So does that mean necessarily this is going to not be a great week for picks? I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping that I can continue this hot streak I've been on here. But we'll have to see. These are definitely the games I feel the best about, and we're gonna try to get as many right as possible, of course. So, thank y'all for watching. Let me know, of course, where you disagree, where you agree, even, and let me know your thoughts. And looking forward to another great weekend of football.